Part 18. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, TNNI. Chapter 171. After Su Wenayu's repeated begging, Han Yu also thought about changing the environment and going to the temple for a walk, thinking that his wife's condition was still not very good these days and the morning sickness was still severe. It might be better but not necessarily. After all, Buddhist temples are not as good as other places. It always brings peace and blessing, but only if Xiaomu goes with her. Su Wenayu naturally has no objection. She is very insecure now. It would be better if Han Yu can accompany her, and her safety will be more guaranteed. Ms. Sir, you are so kind, Su Wenayu always said sweetly when she achieved her goal, and said to Han Yu in a sweet voice. Han Yu had long been used to his wife's temperament. It's good if I promise you, but it won't be good if I don't promise you, right? Han Yu felt a little helpless when he said this. Since a trip to Lingyan Temple can make his wife feel at ease, then let her go. Anyway, with him by his side. Han Yu had made a good plan, but he didn't expect that there would be an emergency in the military camp and he would come to him. Unfortunately, his wife was already halfway there, so it was not easy to go back like this. Han Yu thought about it and asked Grandma Chen, Grandma Li, and Xiao 11 to go there. Taking care of his wife and being protected by the nursing home, nothing should happen. Although the things in the camp were a bit urgent, they were not a big deal. He would just rush to Lingyan Temple as soon as he was done. Ms. Sir, don't worry. I have so many people protecting me, so there won't be any problem. Su Wenayu knew that there was something urgent in Han Yu's military camp, so she asked Han Yu to handle matters in the military camp first. Then you should be careful. After you burn the incense, you can stay in the temple and take a rest. I will come to pick you up soon after finishing my work. Han Yu warned him uneasily for a while before riding away. Because Su Wenayu was pregnant, the carriage moved slowly. It was almost noon when we set off early in the morning and arrived at Lingyan Temple. After offering incense, we happened to have a fast meal in the temple. The nurse couldn't follow her inside, so Grandma Chen and Xiao 11 went there alone. After arranging the fast meal, one of them went to the wing to clean first. Aunt Li supported Su Wenayu and slowly walked to the wing. Unexpectedly, the little maid who didn't know which house was coming to offer incense was so out of control that she ran over and poured a pot of tea. They all fell on Nanny Li. Fortunately, they didn't hit Su Wenayu, and they also frightened Nanny Li. Which maid is this that doesn't understand the rules and is seeking death? Running so fast, what if she bumps into my wife? My wife is still pregnant. It's so reckless. Although Grandma Li is usually rigid, it's not that she was a harsh person, it was just that the little maid behaved too recklessly, so she scolded her with a straight face. The little maid also knew that she had done something wrong. She was so frightened that she kept doing it with tears in her eyes. Su Wenayu couldn't bear it anymore. Anyway, nothing happened. She just wet Grandma Li's clothes, which was not very serious. As for the urgent matter, I spared the little maid and asked Grandma Li to change clothes. Aunt Li also knew that she couldn't serve Madam because she was soaked in water, but now she was the only one beside Madam. Who would serve Madam when she went to change clothes? Let's do this, Mama, go change clothes first. I'm a little tired after walking for a while, so I'll sit on the stone bench and rest for a while, just waiting for you to come back. Mama. Su Wenayu pointed to the osmanthus tree in front of her. The stone stool nearby said that after thinking about it, Nanny Li had no choice but to help Su Wenayu sit down on the stone stool and quickly change her clothes and come back. Su Wenayu was indeed a little tired. She leaned against the sweet-scented osmanthus tree behind the stone bench and touched her belly. It was already August. When the wind blew, some of the sweet-scented osmanthus petals fell, and there was a burst of fragrance. It smelled really good. The nausea that had been lingering in my heart suddenly improved a lot, my mood also improved, and a peaceful smile appeared on my face. What Si Kong Ling saw when he appeared was this beautiful scene. The bulging belly did not affect the beauty of the picture at all. Instead, it added a bit of human tenderness, making Si Kong Ling almost crazy. Seeing Su Wenayu's ruthlessness, she stared at him fiercely, with a frozen look on her face before she reacted. Su Wenayu didn't expect to meet Si Kong Ling here. Thinking about all the accidents at Lingyan Temple today, and thinking about Si Kong Ling's character and methods, she immediately became suspicious. She suspected that both Han Yu and Grandma Li were tricked by Si Kong Ling. Ling's people moved away, but all this was just her guess without evidence. Besides, it was the first time she met Si Kong Ling in her life, so it was impossible to question him about this. "Who are you? What are you doing looking at me like this? Don't you know that you should look at no evil? You look like you are from everyone's background, but you don't even understand the most basic principles," Su Wenayu said with a cold face. She said to Si Kong Ling she doesn't like him, so even if Si Kong Ling failed her in her previous life, she just thinks that this person is cold-blooded and cold-hearted. It's hard to say whether she hates him or not. Anyway, they just use each other to get what they need. But she definitely hates him, and she doesn't even bother to talk to him. He speaks. "Madam, please don't be angry. I didn't know that she was here. I just came here to have a rest. If I disturbed my wife, please forgive me. However, I don't agree with what my wife just said. I am not a slut, so I naturally know not to be rude. The reason for the blindness is that the lady is so beautiful that she was stunned when she was unprepared. Everyone has a love for beauty. It is only human nature that I would have such a reaction. It has nothing to do with anything else. Please don't, madam. Blame." Su Wenayu sneered in her heart. It was such a trick again, a compliment without any trace. It was obviously a defense, but every word was full of praise. If it were a little girl, she would have been deceived by him, but it was a pity that she went up. If you cheat once, how can you do it again? Now that you know it, why don't you leave quickly? Do you want me to call someone? Su Wenayu's voice became colder and colder. Si Kong Ling was not panicked when he heard Su Wenayu say that. He was the one who sent the people away, and there were people guarding nearby. If Su Wenayu's maids came over, he would know it immediately. "My wife and I have never met before. Why do I feel that my wife is very hostile to me, as if she hates me very much? How did I offend my wife?" Si Kong Ling said with a harmless smile on his face, looking at Su Wenayu innocently. Su Wenayu was dazed for a while, as if she had returned to a certain moment in the past, but she immediately reacted and her face became more and more ugly. This guy used beauty to confuse people again. "Because you are born very disgusting, I feel disgusted when I see you. Are you satisfied with this answer?" Su Wenayu stood up with the help of the tree trunk after speaking, and saw that Si Kong Ling had no intention of leaving, so she left, but Si Kong Ling did not mean to let Su Wenayu leave, and stepped forward to block Su Wenayu. "What are you doing? Get out of the way." Su Wenayu frowned angrily, but Si Kong Ling thought Su Wenayu looked very pretty when she was angry. "Madam, why are you in such a hurry to leave? I have some questions for you." Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, TNNI. Chapter 172. "I have nothing to say to you. If you don't get out of the way, I'm going to call someone," Su Wenayu said with a stern voice, but she was really worried in her heart. Seeing Si Kong Ling becoming more and more presumptuous, she felt bad. She was afraid that this guy would push him away. "No one will come, so I dare to act like this." Sure enough, Si Kong Ling was not in a hurry as Su Wenayu expected. "Haha, madam, you are just kidding me. This place is so quiet, don't worry, no one will come soon." "What do you mean by this? Will anyone come soon?" "I'm afraid the maid and grandma around me have already arrived." Su Wenayu waited for Si Kong Ling warily. "Madam is a smart person. Whatever you think I mean is what I mean. Don't worry, I have no ill intentions. I just feel that I am very destined to you and want to talk to you. I will not do anything to you. You don't have to be like this. You're nervous, and you're pregnant. I'm not such a beast. You are just a beast. What are you trying to do by stopping a pregnant woman like this? You think you are destined to me, but I also think you are annoying. I don't want to talk to a beast. Suwanayu was pregnant with children at this time, or twins, so she had to be careful when walking. She couldn't run away if Si Kongling stopped her. However, looking at Si Kongling's appearance, she really didn't seem to want to do anything to her. She was probably the same as in her previous life. He deliberately struck up a conversation with her to gain a good impression, and felt a little more relaxed, but he still looked at Si Kongling warily. Si Kongling felt helpless when he saw that Suwenayu was so defensive and hostile towards him. He didn't know why. As soon as he heard that Suwenayu was coming to Lingyan Temple, he immediately made arrangements to follow her. His purpose was just to see her, talk to her, and see her. It felt a little distressing to hold my stomach and confront her so hard. Didn't you say that you are only 4 months old? Why is your belly so big? It's a very hard work, so you'd better sit down and rest, don't get exhausted. Si Kongling had several concubines who were pregnant with children. Although I didn't pay much attention to it, Suwenayu's belly seemed to be a little big, and she looked at Suwenayu with worry. Si Kongling did not know that Suwenayu was pregnant with twins. The people who knew about it, except for the county magistrate's wife, and their own people, did not deliberately publicize it. The information Si Kongling's subordinates collected in a hurry was not so complete. This is none of your business. You don't need to worry. If you really think you are a good person, just let me leave. Suwenayu heard what Si Kongling said and knew that this person must have investigated her. She was pregnant with Suwenayu didn't intend to explain to Si Kongling about the twins. Then you should think of me as a bad guy, Si Kongling said, looking at Suwenayu like an angry child, full of indulgence and pampering. Suwenayu was choked by Si Kongling. She thought why this man was so shameless, and glared at Si Kongling several times. Not only did Si Kongling not restrain herself, but her smile became brighter. She was so angry and courageous. Holding onto the tree, he kicked Si Kongling in the leg and gave Si Kongling a hard blow. Si Kongling also had some kung fu skills and didn't care about Suwenayu's strength. If you kick me a few times and feel relieved, just kick me. I'm thick-skinned and not afraid of pain. Just don't hurt yourself. Suwenayu originally wanted to kick Si Kongling a few times to relieve her hatred, but it was no longer interesting to hear what Si Kongling said. She had never thought that Si Kongling was such a bitch before. Even if her evil nature came up and she would get into a little temper with Si Kongling, at most, they just said a few words, and they were determined not to challenge Si Kongling's bottom line. Once, a favored aunt thought that Si Kongling treated her very differently, so she touched Si Kongling when she lost her temper, but Si Kongling was beaten by her. He sold it directly, which shows how ruthless Si Kongling is, and how cold-hearted he is that he doesn't even care about the slightest bit of affection. When Si Kongling saw that Suwenayu had no intention of paying attention to him again, thinking that Suwenayu was tired from standing, he was about to help Suwenayu sit down, but Suwenayu dodged awkwardly. You are warning, you are not allowed to come over, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Suwenayu had already taken out the hairpin from her hair and held it in her hand. Si Kongling wanted to say something, but his face suddenly changed, and then he walked quickly into the woods and disappeared after a few moments. Suwenayu was still puzzled when she heard Han Yu's familiar voice. Daughter-in-law, are you okay? Han Yu hurried over, followed by Granny Li who looked worried. It turned out that Grandma Li went to change clothes, and just as she was about to come out, she found that the door outside was locked. Grandma Lee also came out of the back house. She knew all the doors in the back house, and she felt uncomfortable at that time. Okay, thinking about it more carefully, the little maid bumped into her without any bias, and she felt more and more that something was fishy. She was afraid that someone had an idea of Madame, and she was worried that something would happen to Madame, so she was locked in the room and couldn't get out. Could only be anxious and kept knocking on the doors and windows. Coincidentally, a young novice monk passed by, so he let her out. He hurried to the way back and forth, and met Hanyu, who was coming from the bottom of the mountain. Grandma Lee told Hanyu about the situation, and Hanyu had no time to blame her. When she thought that she had been deliberately distracted today, her heart tightened and she immediately took Grandma Lee to find Su Wenyu. She blamed herself for being careless, even though her daughter-in-law told her he knew Sci-Kong Ling had bad intentions, but he didn't react immediately. He also didn't expect Sci-Kong Ling to be so bold as to actually attack a pregnant woman he had met on the road. "Husband, don't worry, I'm fine. Didn't you go out to do something? How come you're here so soon?" Su Wenyu's tense mood relaxed when she saw Hanyu coming. She felt a little weak all over, and her hairpin fell to the ground when she loosened her hand. Hanyu saw his wife standing there well, and his heart was finally at ease. He was about to say something, but when he saw that his wife seemed to be unable to support herself and the hairpin fell to the ground, he realized that something was wrong and hurried over to pick her up. Nanny Lee also hurried over. Madame must have had something happen to her, and it was all her fault for being too careless. "Wife, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling uncomfortable?" Hanyu didn't bother to ask Su Wenyu what happened at this time. As long as the person and the child were fine, it was fine. Su Wenyu smiled and shook her head. "I'm fine, the baby in my belly is fine too, don't worry, I just feel exhausted and a little tired, just hold me and I'll be fine." Hanyu was still a little worried after hearing Su Wenyu say this. It really didn't look like she was fine, and it was impossible to immediately call a doctor on the mountain, so the little monk who led the way spoke up. "If you are worried, please ask the master to take a look at your wife. The master is not only profound in Buddhism, but also has great medical skills." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, TNNI. Chapter 173. Since the presiding master had good medical skills, Hanyu naturally wanted him. How could he not want to? He hurriedly said, "Can you please lead the way, little master?" It seems that Hanyu and Su Wenyu are very lucky. There are also differences between the novices and novices. The young novice who led them grew up with the abbot. His identity is different from other novices in the temple, so he can say if we ask the master in charge to diagnose and treat Su Wenyu, other novice monks may not know, and even if they know, they may not dare to speak out. Even in a temple where the Buddha said that all living beings are equal, not everyone is equal. The presiding master always kept the little novice by his side because he was kind-hearted and clear-minded. It was not surprising to see that the little novice brought someone to his side again. "Master, this female donor is not feeling well. There is no other doctor on the mountain. Master, please check on the female donor. This donor, please come in with the female donor." The presiding master looks very ordinary, just an ordinary old monk, but his temperament is still a little different. He has a kind face and a kind purpose, and he may also have the so-called Buddha nature. The presiding master took Su Wenyu's pulse and said, "Donor, don't worry, the female donor is just too mentally exhausted, and her body cannot withstand the fatigue of being pregnant. There is no big problem, just have a good rest. Pregnant people should not overthink. Donors, please be relaxed and don't think too much. The past is over and you should cherish the hard-won opportunities. Su Wenyu was a little surprised when she heard the last few words of the host master. The master's words were full of profound meaning. Could it be that he saw her experience, or was she overthinking it? Thank you, the master in charge, for treating my wife. Hanyu didn't think too much. He was relieved when he learned that Su Wenyu's health was fine. He thanked the master in charge and left with Su Wenyu. Before leaving, the host master gave a string of Buddhist beads to Su Wenyu. The female benefactor is a person with profound blessings. Only with God's blessing can she have a chance to start over. In this case, why not let go of everything and live a good life, and dwell on the past to live up to it? With the kindness of God, this string of holding beads was given to me by my master. It can bring good luck and avoid bad luck and calm my mind. Now I am giving it to someone who is destined, hoping that it will be helpful to the female donor. Thank you, Master Host, for the gift. I have learned from the Master's words. After saying this, Su Wenyu respectfully took the beads and put them on her hands. It is indeed a sacred object of Buddhism. I don't know if it is a psychological effect or if it is really that effective. Su Wenyu, as soon as I put it on, I felt comfortable all over my body and my mind was much calmer. When Hanyu saw the interaction between the host master and his wife, his thoughts changed in his eyes, but he did not interrupt to ask any questions. In short, as long as it was not harmful to his wife, he would not stop it. The old monk's words were obviously an admonishment to his wife. It would be great if he could really make his wife relax. Although he had a serious talk with her last time, it must have worked, but there must be something else in her heart that he doesn't know. Now it seems that the old monk's words have been listened to by her. Hanyu thanked the host master again, his expression much more sincere than before. The master host glanced at Hanyu and said, "He is also a man of great fortune. He will become a general in the future." Hanyu wanted to ask something after hearing this, but before he could speak, the host waved his hand and went inside, remembering the sentence in his heart. After coming out of the presiding master, Hanyu did not stay in the temple, but took Su Wenyu back. Except for such things in the temple, he was always not at ease. He was afraid of bumps on the road, so he kept Su Wenyu in his arms. Su Wenyu was already exhausted. She fell asleep after coming out from the host master's place. I don't know what happened next. It was all arranged by Hanyu. Hanyu could fall asleep peacefully while she was there. When she woke up, she was already lying on your own bed. Hanyu brought Su Wenyu back from Lingyan temple and stayed by her side. He was not anxious when Su Wenyu woke up. He fed Su Wenyu first and then asked about what happened in Lingyan temple. What happened after Nanny Li left? I saw you had all the hairpins in your hand. Did someone do something to you? Hanyu didn't doubt his wife's innocence, but he was just worried that she would be bullied. Especially the incident at Lingyan temple. All signs showed that it was related to Sci-fi Ling. Hanyu didn't know why, but he felt a little uneasy. Su Wenyu didn't want to hide it from Hanyu. She figured it out when she came back from Lingyan temple. Let the past things go, let alone what happened in the previous life. There was no need to let it affect her current life. She has a husband who loves her, a warm home, and a few obedient children in the future. This life can be regarded as a complete happiness, and there is nothing to worry about. Isn't that what the old monk meant? It's Sci-fi Ling. He came right after Nanny Li left. I don't know if it was a coincidence or intentional. He talked some nonsense and stopped me from leaving. I don't know what An's intentions were. I took the hairpin in my hand. I'm also on guard against him, Su Wenyu said with disgust in her voice when she mentioned Sci-fi Ling. Hanyu was happy to see his wife hate Sci-fi Ling. After all, Sci-fi Ling was good-looking and well-born, and many women voluntarily attached themselves to him. Hanyu felt that his wife was not one of those superficial women, but he was still a little worried. Now it seems that his wife is not at all. He didn't have that intention, otherwise he wouldn't have this reaction when he mentioned Si Kongling. But this Si Kongling, Han Yu narrowed his eyes dangerously. No matter who it was, he would have to bear the consequences if he dared to covet his wife. No matter what An's intentions are, they are definitely not good ones. Just stay away from him from now on. Don't worry about the rest. Leave it to your husband and me. I won't let him get close to you again. Su Wenyu nodded, but still a little worried. Si, that man is not an ordinary person, his family background is strong, we don't have to fight him head on, there will always be a chance to compete with him in the future. Su Wenyu was afraid that Han Yu would go to Si Kongling in a fit of anger. After all, their current status was too different. If they were to fight, she would feel that Han Yu would suffer a loss. However, she had to persuade him a little. Han Yu didn't like to hear other men from her mouth. When persuading her, he said that he was not stingy or angry. So, sometimes men's words can't be trusted. This time after returning from Lingyan Temple, Su Wenyu gained a lot, at least she felt much more relaxed in her heart, but the morning sickness problem was still not cured. It has lasted for more than half a month. Su Wenyu has become so thin that only bones are left on her body. Han Yu feels cruel when he hugs her. Because she is thin, her belly looks bigger and bigger. A pair of eyes are protruding, looking at you so aggrieved, which looks particularly pitiful. Every time Han Yu saw his wife like this, he became particularly worried. The words the doctor had said always appeared in his mind. He was afraid that Su Wenyu was in danger, but he could not show it on his face, for fear of adding psychological burden to his wife. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, TNNI. Chapter 174. Mother Li, is your wife's condition better today? As soon as Han Yu came back, Su Wenyu's condition was revealed. This has become an inevitable thing every day. Grandma Li shook her head, with a worried look on her face. It's still the same, vomiting after eating. Madam is afraid that if she eats too little, the child in her belly will not have enough nutrients, so she vomits and continues to eat, thinking that she can always keep some nutrients for her. With the baby in my belly, I can't bear to see Madam working so hard. Pregnancy was originally a great joy, but it made my daughter-in-law take such a big risk. It was only after listening to the doctor's words that she returned home. My daughter-in-law is still young now, so pregnancy is bound to be difficult, not to mention twins, which are even more risky. If he had known earlier, he would have been pregnant. He shouldn't have let his wife get pregnant so early. Compared with the child, he couldn't bear the risk of losing her. It was only more than 4 months now, and it would still be almost 5 months until the child was born. If it continued like this, where would his wife's body be? If you can bear it, even if the child is born safely, the wife's body will be worn down. Han Yu's expression became colder and colder, but when he entered the room, he immediately changed to a gentle expression and saw his wife looking over from the bed with a smile. How are you feeling today? Is it better? Is the baby in your belly good? Although Han Yu had asked Grandma Li before, he would still ask Su Wenyu again every time. I feel a little better. It's probably because the children in my belly know that my mother is working hard, so they are obedient. My husband, you have a hard enough time in the military camp every day. Don't worry about me. There are so many maids and women taking care of me. I'm fine. I'm here, Su Wenyu also said with a smile. At this time, every day was so hard, but Su Wenyu didn't like to act coquettishly with Han Yu, because she was afraid that Han Yu would worry and burden him. Han Yu was also working very hard in the military camp, but still insists on coming back every day, and is worried about her. She has also lost weight these days. Han Yu had never felt that his wife had been so considerate and sensible before, but he felt extremely distressed. Although she had worked so hard carrying the child, she comforted him in return for fear that he would worry. He would rather his wife complained to him like before, so that his petty temper gave way. He coaxed, he finally did something for his wife. That's good. You work so hard carrying them. If these two little guys dare to make trouble with you, I won't spank their little butts when they come out. Hanyu took advantage of the situation and touched Su Wenayu's belly, and the look in his eyes became more and more serious. Complex. By the way, the Mid-Autumn Festival is coming soon. I want to discuss with you about giving gifts to each family. I've generally prepared them. But I'm not very clear about the relationship in the military camp. I still need you. It's just a matter of checking, so as not to give too much and give too little and it will look bad. Hanyu saw that his daughter-in-law was like this and still worried about the Mid-Autumn Festival. He didn't know whether he should sigh for her virtuousness or tell her not to waste her energy by worrying about it. You don't need to worry about these things. Just take good care of yourself and the baby in your belly. I will arrange everything during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Besides, Aunt Li and Aunt Chen are both very capable. Just give them an order and they can take care of it. The work is done well. Hanyu has experienced the benefits of his mother-in-law sending servants more than once. These servants who have been trained since childhood are not comparable to those bought temporarily from the dental shop. He also understands the importance of a family's heritage. And since he climbed up from the bottom like this, he needs to work harder. I know that Aunt Li and Aunt Chen are both capable, otherwise Mom wouldn't have sent them here, but we still have to control the general affairs ourselves, as well as the etiquette for the parents back home. I asked Shuxiang to make them 2 sets of new clothes, 1 set for each of the children. In addition, each family had 2 boxes of mooncakes, 10 pounds of pork, 30 pounds of rice, and 10 pounds of white flour. What do you think of this? Do you want more? Add something. Shuxiang is the maid that Mrs. Su sent over last time. Su Wenyu named them Shuxiang, Shiyu, Shukan, and Shulan. The 4 maids are not only knowledgeable in reading and writing, but also have their own abilities and specialties. Shuxiang is the best at embroidery and it was sewing and mending, so I left the making of clothes to her, and asked her to bring the little maid Kioxen I bought last time. Apart from anything else, Su Wenyu must tell Hanyu about the etiquette in his hometown, and the most important thing to pay attention to is the relationship with him. Originally, he didn't need so many etiquette, but Hanyu is now an official no matter how big or small he is. And they don't live together now. They are far apart and don't have so many worries. She is happy to be a generous person and give more things. Let's add 2 more pieces of fabric so that my brothers and sisters-in-law can make new clothes for the holidays. Su Wenyu thought for a while and added 2 more pieces of fabric. Anyway, it was just sitting in the box for nothing. The fabric is no better than other things. The color will lose its luster over time. It's enough. Our family is not very rich. My monthly salary is just that much. The 3rd child's family doesn't need that much. Just give them 2 boxes of mooncakes. They don't know who knows. No matter how much money I give, I can't give them more. Things are also useless. Hanyu had problems with Hanlin and his wife, but he was not familiar with them. Not to mention the things Wang had done before. That time Su Wenyu said that Si Kongling had colluded with Wang in the dream to harm his wife, and Hanyu was even more so. He hated Mrs. Wang so much that he held a grudge. But after all, Mrs. Wang was the daughter-in-law of the Han family. His sister-in-law had some things that were difficult to do. If it weren't for the fear that his wife would look bad and be criticized, Hanyu wouldn't even have the 2 boxes of mooncakes. I don't want Su Wenyu to send it there. Seeing Hanyu like this, Su Wenyu pursed her lips and smiled. Okay, let's just send 2 boxes of mooncakes to the 3rd family. Even if they were given mooncakes, it would be a bargain for them. Su Wenyu and Hanyu had the same idea. Their mooncakes were not cheap goods on the market, nor were they ordinary mooncakes made by ordinary families. Although they were not made by Su Wenyu herself, they were also made according to Su Wenayu's instructions. The fillings alone were very particular, and there were many kinds of mixtures, not to mention the methods of making them one by one. Fortunately, one of the 4 maids sent by the Su family was proficient in cooking, and there was Zioxi who had learned from Su Wenayu, otherwise they might not be able to make them. The mooncakes were made with great care, and Su Wenayu also specially customized the mooncake box in her mother's carpenter shop. Not only were they exquisite, but they also looked high-end and classy. The box alone was not cheap, but since it was custom-made in her mother's shop, of course only the cost was charged. If Su Wenayu hadn't insisted, she wouldn't have to pay even the cost. Su Wenayu thought that Hanyu had never seen it before, so she asked her servants to bring up a gift box of finished mooncakes. To be honest, this idea was learned from concubine Li in her previous life. Now she wanted to show off in front of Hanyu and win some praise from him. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tianni. Chapter 175. Look, my husband, your wife is great, isn't she? The mooncakes are packaged like this, don't they look particularly good-looking, luxurious, and classy, Su Wenayu said with a look of pride on her face when she talked about her masterpiece, which made her whole person energetic. Hanyu originally wanted to prevent Su Wenayu from doing this, but when he saw Su Wenayu like this, he didn't stop him. Then his eyes moved to those unique and exquisite boxes, and his eyes lit up. You said this is a mooncake gift box. Hanyu picked up the mooncake gift box and observed it in his hand for a while. Not only did this gift box look exquisite and beautiful, it also had a hidden buckle inside that could be opened with a push of the hand. It contained various large and small items. There are several mooncakes with different fillings, and the patterns on the mooncakes are also quite delicate and beautiful. Hanyu opened other mooncake gift boxes. The gift boxes were divided into several grades. Some of them were 2-layered and could be opened by hand, just like a drawer. The lower layer also contained mooncakes, and there was also a mooncake inside each one. Set of knives and forks for sharing mooncakes. Hanyu suspected that a secret technique passed down by Lu Ban was used in this, and he didn't know what was in his little head. How could he come up with such a novel idea? It was just a way of eating, and she had to think about it and fix it. When I came out, I suddenly became different. Giving gifts also looked decent and innovative, which was more respectable than giving ordinary gold, silver, and jade. If the idea of the gift box was inspired by concubine Li, the small mechanism in the box was added by Su Wenayu herself. In her previous life, Su Wenayu was soaking in the library of Sikong's house when she had nothing to do, and accidentally touched the mechanism. A yellowed book. I am afraid that even the Sikong family did not know that they had such a secret treasure. It was exactly the secret skill of Lu Ban that Hanyu suspected. However, Lu Ban's secret skills were so magical that Su Wenayu didn't dare to reveal them too much, so she could only use what she learned in small places like this. How's it going? This mooncake gift box is nice. I originally wanted to give you more embroidery items. Anyway, it only takes some time to embroider and it doesn't cost much. But now that I'm pregnant, my grandma won't allow me to do embroidery. Good embroidery is not so easy to come by. Larger embroidery works can take months to process even if they are processed day and night. This idea is not feasible, and if you have too much of something, you will no longer be rare. Although my embroidery skills are good, I still played well at the critical moment. The daughter-in-law embroidered the embroidery and sold it for money and gave gifts. Even if Su Wenayu was pregnant, her mother-in-law would not agree. Even if Su Wenayu was not pregnant, Hanyu would not agree. Hanyu didn't know his wife's plan before and thought she liked it, so he didn't stop it. Now if you know it, why would you still indulge her? No, don't make this idea in the future, even after the child is born. Doing too much embroidery can easily damage your eyes. I, Hanyu, don't have the ability and I don't need you to abuse your body to plan this. If you don't have enough money at home, just tell me and I will think of something, Han Yu said without a doubt. Su Wenyu knew that this attitude was definitely a matter of principle. Su Wenyu didn't refute Han Yu and pointed to the mooncake gift box in Han Yu's hand. I know, I still have enough money at home, but there are still many places where I need to give gifts. It's important to give gifts on major occasions and small occasions. I have to give gifts everywhere when I give birth to a child. I can't think of ways to save money. No, think about it. With this mooncake gift box, it is enough to add a few pieces of cloth for food and other things, Su Wenyu said, feeling that she was becoming more and more virtuous and more like a good wife and mother. Han Yu also knew what Su Wenyu said. Regardless of the petty official he thought he was, it would be fine if he was content with the status quo. There were some things he could do or not do. If he wanted to climb up, there were many ways to do it. There is no need to prepare other meals. After 2 days of rest, I will go to the mountains and catch some wild animals. Just add them when giving gifts. It saves money and looks better. Han Yu pondered for a while. Said. You should prepare the gifts from your father-in-law and mother-in-law first. Prepare more. I will see them in person before they are sent to you. Han Yu thought about the last time he beat a big bug and didn't give it to his in-laws in exchange for money. Keep some. His father-in-law likes to eat game. This time he will hunt more game and send it to his family. The family has helped him a lot these days. Even if he can't repay him immediately, he should still show his kindness. Su Wenyu understood what Han Yu meant and nodded in agreement. That was her natal family over there. It would be bad if she was too different from her husband's family. She would leave this matter to Han Yu. She was still very happy that Han Yu had such intentions. Han Yu had no objection to the gift from her husband's family, so Su Wenyu sent someone to deliver it on the second day. Old Man Han and Mrs. Yang are currently discussing the Mid-Autumn Festival. Although the Han family is divided, everyone should still celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival together. They cannot write 2 Korean characters in one stroke. Although the family members cannot be separated, family ties cannot be separated. No, but the 4th brother and his wife are afraid that they will never come back to the military camp, so they must be more deserted. Thinking of the child in the 4th daughter-in-law's belly, Ms. Yang thought about whether to send some food to the 4th daughter-in-law and her wife. She couldn't greet them at such a distance, otherwise she should give the 4th daughter-in-law some food. The body is delicate, and the child in the belly can only be born white and fat. After such a long time, Yang's complaints about her daughter-in-law are gone, and she is more concerned about her son's family. As for her son's family, Wang, who was also pregnant, Yang automatically passed by. Father, mother, come out quickly, the 4th couple has sent people to give us holiday gifts. Han Jinkei and his wife were talking in the room when they heard the eldest daughter-in-law shouting loudly outside. Hearing that it was the youngest son and his wife who sent the festival gifts, the old couple hurried out and saw a well-dressed maid carrying a bundle coming in. When they looked closely, it was Zioxi, and her face was even more happy. Zioxi had lived in the Han family for so long, and everyone had some feelings for her. They saw that she was different from other servants. That was why Su Wenyu sent Zioxi to her hometown to deliver gifts. Behind Zioxi were 2 equally well-dressed men, who looked like servants of Han Yu's family. Zioxi explained that these were the guards sent by the Su family to their master and his wife. The Han family looked at them again. After a closer look, the 2 people were indeed a little different. They were indeed guards. They had practiced a few moves, and their walking postures were different, which made them more imposing than ordinary people. Thinking that their son was now an official and even used guards, Old Man Han and Yang were proud of their son again, and their faces were brighter. Zioxi and his companions came in a horse-drawn carriage, making quite a scene. When the villagers saw this, they all came to the Han family to watch the fun. They had heard a long time ago that the fourth son of the Han family had become successful and became an official, and some were envious and some were jealous. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, TNNI. Chapter 176. Hey, Uncle Han, Auntie, this is when Shiro comes back from a holiday gift. It looks like he has a lot of things. It will be different when he becomes an official. You can also enjoy the blessings and live a good life. Yes, who in heckin is as lucky as Uncle Han and Aunt Han? Silang is the first official in our village. He is a role model for the people in our village. Now that the Han family is prosperous, there are more people who flatter them. Although they secretly have their own little thoughts, not all of them are sincere, but on the surface no one wants to offend the Han family again, even if some people murmur that Han Yu is entrusting the Yu family too. Fortunately, I am where I am today thanks to my wife, but I won't shout out loud like before, I will only talk about it in private. If the people don't fight with the officials, they can't afford to offend the officials. Otherwise, they will be arrested and sent to the government like the previous ones, and they don't know how long they will be released. Being so flattered by everyone, not to mention Old Man Han and MRS Yang, even Dafang's family was proud of themselves. MRS Lu entertained everyone for tea in a rare and generous manner, and even took out a bag of melon seeds. They're all from our neighbors. You're welcome. We don't have anything to entertain at home. You can do whatever you want. Yang looked at the eldest daughter-in-law. For the first time, she felt that the eldest daughter-in-law could be on the stage. This time she really didn't embarrass her. MRS Liu's consciousness is indeed high this time. Han Yu has become an official. As the sister-in-law, she can be regarded as a half-official wife. Naturally, she can't be too stingy and make people laugh. What's more, she saw Xiao 11 bringing in a servant just now. There were bags and bags of things and a few exquisite boxes, and I didn't know what valuable things they contained, so I couldn't bear this small favor. Auntie, I see that Shiro has brought back a lot of holiday gifts this time. This is the first time we have seen officials giving gifts. Please take a look at what Shiro has given back. It will also give us a lot of experience. Everyone also saw it. The servants sent by Han Yu brought in a bag of things and were all curious about what was inside. Someone proposed this idea, and everyone followed suit, asking them to see what they had learned. Old Man Han and Mr. Yang refused twice, but it was not too much, so they reluctantly agreed. At this time, Han Quan and Han Lin, the whole family, also came over to the big house. Since this is what the folks mean, and there's nothing shameful about our family, let's open it and take a look. 11ER listened at the side and immediately responded, my wife has put so much thought into sending so many things. She is happy to let everyone know how good her wife is and how filial her wife respects the elderly. 11ER first opened the package and took out the clothes made by Shuxiang. Because Han Yu was an official, Su Wenyu thought that her father-in-law and mother-in-law should also have decent clothes, so these sets of clothes were all made of silk. Shuxiang's craftsmanship is also good, and she also uses silver thread on the collar, making these sets of clothes look even more luxurious. As soon as the clothes were taken out, not to mention the village neighbors who were watching, even Old Man Han and Mr. Yang were blinded by it. This is too expensive. It is really a waste to use such good materials to make clothes for us two old people. Some more. Uncle Han, Aunt Han, these clothes are really pretty. Please put them on and see if they fit you. Try it. Then give it a try. Old Man Han and Mr. Yang had never worn such beautiful clothes in their lives, and they were a little worried about being coaxed together like this. Old Man Han and Mr. Yang were surrounded by a few familiar neighbors. They went back to the room and changed their clothes. It took them a long time to come out. They saw that their hair had been combed again, and Mr. Yang had an extra hair on his head. The old silver hairpin makes people look more energetic. The old couple came out wearing such nice clothes. They felt a little uncomfortable all over. They were afraid that they would accidentally get the clothes dirty and wrinkled. They also looked a little awkward when walking. However, the clothes fit really well, as if they were tailor-made. The size is half an inch and half an inch, and everyone can only praise it when they see it. It's because the fourth daughter-in-law is filial. When she married into the Han family, I always have new clothes. I don't know how many lifetimes of blessings I have accumulated to get such a good daughter-in-law. Mrs. Yang praised Su Wenyu generously in front of everyone. Even if she is partial to her son, she knows that such clothes must be made according to her daughter-in-law's wishes. Only the fourth daughter-in-law would remember the measurements of the old couple so carefully and make the clothes so fitting. This is better than giving gold and silver. Can't change it yet. No, Silang's wife is really filial. I heard that she got pregnant within half a year. She has a good horoscope and must be a prosperous husband. She can bring blessings to the old Han family. Now look at the old Han family's life is getting better and better. After hearing this, Mrs. Yang felt even more comfortable. She thought to herself, that's not what happened. The fourth daughter-in-law was born with a good destiny. She was reborn into a wealthy family like the Su family, and now she has also brought many blessings to her husband's family. She was so lucky. She had never thought that her son could become an official. Everything was thanks to her fourth wife. Hey, Uncle Han, Aunt Han, how do you see the patterns on your clothes sparkling under the light? A villager pointed at the clothes on Old Man Han and Mrs. Yang and said in surprise. It's true, this is really strange. The few people in the village were surprised when they saw such a situation. Xiao 11 waited until they had studied enough, and then said openly, this is nothing strange. When the embroiderer embroidered the collar of the clothes, she used silver thread. The silver thread was not shiny and beautiful under the sunlight. So it's silver thread, which is very expensive. It's made of silver. No wonder it's so beautiful and shiny. Tisk, Silang's wife is really generous to you. The parents-in-law everyone didn't think it was because of Han Yu. They all praised Su Wenyu. After all, Han Yu had not been an official for a long time. Even if he had the ability, he couldn't make money so quickly. Everyone knew that Silang's wife had a rich dowry, but she had to be willing to spend silver thread to embroider clothes for her parents-in-law. Who wouldn't envy such a filial daughter-in-law? After looking at the clothes, everyone looked at the boxes of mooncakes for a while. They all admired the ingenuity of the rich. They could make so many patterns of mooncakes. I don't know how much silver money it cost for this box alone. This time Zioxy didn't explain. Everyone thought that the mooncakes were bought from the most famous pastry shop in the city. Who would be willing to eat such beautiful and exquisite mooncakes? Yang and Lu were afraid that people would break such a delicate mooncake box, so they simply protected it and only let people look at it but not touch it. They were also very careful when they handled it. Everyone understood their behavior and believed that such a precious thing should be handled with care. They would not feel bad if it was broken. Han Jinkei and Han Hu were more generous. Seeing the two women being so careful, they felt a little embarrassed and said a few words. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tian. Chapter 177. After seeing these two rare things, the rice, noodles, pork, cloth, etc. that I accepted were no longer rare. However, they all praised the fourth couple for their generosity, because Old Man Han and Yang were with the eldest family, and Su Wenyu was not stingy, and sent them to the boxing gifts. Here all come in double portions, and the quantity looks quite impressive. Not to mention the cloth and pork, it's just rice and flour. How much money does it cost to buy it? I also made clothes for several children. They are all good materials. How much money does it cost just for this festival? Can you come down? Everyone looked at the gifts sent to the big house. Since the second and third sons' families were all there, they didn't miss them either. However, when they saw that the third son's family only got 2 boxes of mooncakes, everyone looked at Han and Lin. It's a bit subtle. Some people who know the truth will know why the third room only got 2 boxes of mooncakes from the fourth room. They quietly told people they knew well that you pass it on to me and I'll pass it on to you. Soon everyone knows what the third room does. It was so immoral that he looked at Wang with contempt. Tisk tisk, I really can't tell. Wang is usually quiet, but she is a bad person. She can do such wicked things. I am Shilang's wife, but I am not so easy to talk to. I am also Shilang's wife. If you have a kind heart, you won't care about her. No, so you can't just look at appearances. Talents like Wang are really called smiles but hide their knives. They look soft on the outside, but in fact they have many bad intentions inside. Han Lin and the Wang family were happy to see Han Yu sending people to bring so many festive gifts. Even though they were very unbalanced and envious of Han Yu's official duties, they would not be soft-hearted when they deserved the benefits. How could they know that the old man a couple of 4 can do this? The eldest and second bedrooms gave away so many things, but when it was the third bedroom's turn, they only got 2 boxes of mooncakes. They are all the same brothers, so why should they favor one over the other? Hanlin and Wang were already angry, but they became even more angry when they heard the nearby villagers whispering about them. They looked at Zioxi who was standing aside. This girl was not a good girl. She had been in the Han family before. For her master to fight with them, the couple attacked Xiao 11 as soon as they got together. Tell me, you damn girl, are you causing trouble in this? Shiro and our Sanlang are brothers, and they have the same etiquette. How can they be different from other brothers? It's obviously you who are the servants. You didn't do things well, or you stole our things. If you don't bring them today, don't blame us for being rude to you. Han Lin pointed at Xiao 11 with his hands on his hips and said, a grown man can't bear to be embarrassed by a maid. The big man was ready to leave after seeing the excitement, but he didn't know that Han Lin and his wife were here, and they stopped and looked at each other when the excitement started. Even some people who had reached the entrance of the courtyard turned around and came back. This old Han family was really lively. After one song, there was another song. Xiao 11 did not expect that Han Lin and Wang would attack her, but she was not afraid. In terms of skill and eloquence, she thought she was no worse than these 2 people. In the past, these 2 couples had often made things difficult for her wife. She couldn't say anything because of her identity, but if they came to her door, she wouldn't be polite. She would scold these 2 guys bloody and tell everyone about the dirty things they had done. When Old Man Han and Mr. Yang saw Han Lin acting like this, their expressions that were still smiling darkened. It was such a beautiful day, but this careless person was going to cause trouble for them. Third brother, shut up. You are a grown man who is embarrassing a girl. Xiao 11 is not ashamed. The things you 2 do, let alone the 4th boy and others, can't even be seen by others. What can I do to you? I'm giving you a festive gift to show off, but you're so picky. If you don't want those 2 boxes of mooncakes, just let Xiao 11 take them back, so you don't have to waste a good thing, Ms. Yang scolded angrily. Seeing this situation, Xiao 11 knew that she would be unreasonable if she made trouble again. After all, she was just a maid, but she really didn't want to make those 2 boxes of mooncakes cheaper for Han and Lin. Even feeding the dog would be better than giving them a look. The wolf wanted to be nice. He really wanted to take back the mooncakes after hearing Yang's words, but Wang didn't let go when he went to get the box. We want it? Who says we don't want it? My husband just said a few angry words because the 4th child was unfair in doing things. How can we not want the things that were specially sent to us? Wang said, picking up 2 boxes of mooncakes and pulling Han Lin. Gone. Tisk, such virtue. Everyone was a little disappointed to see that things were over like this, and they left without any more fun to watch. When Xiao 11 went back and talked about what happened with the Han family, Su Wenyu had already known the virtues of Han Lin and Wang, so she just smiled without saying anything. In the first 2 days of the Mid-Autumn Festival, Su Wenyu gave away all the gifts prepared by Su Wenyu. Everyone who received the gifts praised the Han family for their ingenuity in making mooncakes like this. Moreover, the mooncakes not only looked good, but also tasted good. It's even more delicious. General Zhao Changping also received a gift from the Han family as a gift. At that time, he thought the mooncakes were very good, so he took them apart and ate 2 of them, and the taste was even better. Zhao Changping was a quick thinker. He immediately found Han Yu and asked for a few more boxes of mooncakes, and he quickly delivered them overnight. It is fitting that Zhao Changping is lucky. There is a vacancy in the position of the 6th grade Qianzong. The superiors are considering promoting someone to fill the vacancy. Zhao Changping's name is among several candidates. He has not yet decided who to choose. At this time Zhao Changping sent several boxes of mooncakes. The Shangguan was a food lover. The mooncakes were not only exquisitely made, but also very satisfying to eat. At that time, a few friends came over and they all thought they were good and praised them. The Shangguan felt very proud and immediately gave the vacant position to Zhao Changping. Zhao Changping only delivered a few boxes of mooncakes and suddenly became a captain. He was so happy that his mouth was crooked. Zhao was promoted and had to be transferred to another camp. Someone had to take his place. He was grateful to Han Yu because the mooncakes of the Han family had brought him great benefits, but it was impossible for Han Yu to reach the 7th rank. So he promoted a deputy lieutenant next to him and let the deputy lieutenant take his place. Han Yu took the deputy lieutenant's position, and everyone was happy. The deputy lieutenant also got a great benefit for nothing. Before leaving, the captain had another explanation and took good care of Han Yu. Su Wenyu was eating this morning and found that her morning sickness had suddenly improved. She was in a very good mood. When Han Yu came back with a happy look on his face, she learned that Han Yu had been promoted from the 8th rank to the 7th rank. She was even more delighted and kept asking the kitchen to prepare more delicious dishes to celebrate. She didn't know what a good day it was today, but there were so many happy events. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tian. Chapter 178. Han Yu's promotion was a great joy, and all the servants in the family were overjoyed. However, trouble also came. After he was promoted, everyone came to celebrate, and a banquet was a must. Su Wenyu was almost 5 months old, and she was pregnant with twins. Han Yu didn't want Su Wenyu to be tired, so he left everything to Grandma Li and Grandma Chen to arrange. However, Su Wenyu was uneasy, not because he didn't believe in their abilities. "I'm just afraid that there might be some omissions, so I'll take care of it myself when I have the energy." Han Yu saw that Su Wenyu insisted that Su Wenyu's morning sickness had gone away these days. She was eating well and sleeping well, and she was much more energetic. She also paid attention to propriety and would not work too hard, so he did not stop her. His wife was capable. The management is naturally more thoughtful and appropriate than that of a servant. On August 23rd, which happened to be the day of rest, everyone came to the door with gifts. The male guests were entertained by Han Yu in the front, and the female guests were in the back. Su Wenyu couldn't do it herself, so she was saved for the sake of the child in her belly. I could only sit there and say hello to people, and Grandma Chen and Grandma Li were originally going to do the rest. Lu Zhao was a discerning person. She came here early with Wei Li and Yao Qin to help Su Wenyu greet the guests. She was naturally much more dignified and considerate than the 2 servants, Aunt Chen and Aunt Li. Su Wenyu was also very grateful. Mr. Fang and his wife did not come. Mr. Fang was not a kind-hearted person, and he was very dissatisfied with Han Yu's sudden cooling of his attitude. He was uncomfortable seeing Han Yu, who had only just entered the military camp and had been promoted. God is unfair, the officialdom is too dark, and Fang Chen lost so much face because of the incident at the county government last time, and hates Su Wenyu so much. If Su Wenyu is unlucky, he comes to watch. Now that Su Wenyu's family has good things, how can they be willing to do so? When I came here, I didn't even send someone to send congratulatory gifts. Mrs. Jo Wan came over with Mr. Jo, smiling, and her face was as happy as if there was a happy event in her family. The previous grudge against Su Wenyu seemed to have never existed at all. Even Su Wenyu had to admire Mrs. Jo's skills. This woman is too ambitious and too tolerant. She can give up her dignity and preferences in order to achieve her goals. She disagrees and is even more defensive. Such a woman is terrible and cannot do anything. Mrs. Han is really lucky. Not only is Mr. Han young and handsome, but he is also so capable. He was promoted 2 ranks in a row just after entering the military camp, and directly became a deputy lieutenant from the 7th rank. No matter whether it is ability or luck, he is not good at all. That's right, and Mr. Han is a long-term lover and is kind to Mrs. Han, so we can't help but envy him. Yes, among our families, as long as the family is prosperous and the situation is better, which one will not take a wife and a concubine, that is, Mr. Han will keep himself clean, a lady said with envy. But Mrs. Han, we have all been here before. I still have to advise you. You are pregnant and cannot serve Mr. Han for nearly a year. You still need to arrange someone to serve Mr. Han. Mr. Han, she is young and energetic, and 10.5 months is okay, but she can't bear it for a long time. It would be bad if she was hooked by some wildflowers outside. It would be better to pick up an obedient one, open her face, and hold her body. Don't be afraid of what tricks she will play. This lady is obviously very experienced in dealing with concubines, and she wants to teach Su Wenyu her experience, which also shows that she is very capable. Su Wenyu was speechless and couldn't help but refuse. She said that Han Yu would never take a concubine, otherwise there would be rumors tomorrow that Deputy Lieutenant Han's wife would be jealous, but she felt really fed up. Haha, I know you all have good intentions, but I can't decide on this matter. It also depends on the wishes of our adults. Our adults are the most independent-minded and do not value women. If I make arrangements without authorization, my family the adults will be angry, but I don't dare. Su Wenyu looked like an angry little daughter-in-law in front of others. Mrs. Han is joking. I think Mr. Han is still very good to you. Our family member said that no matter how busy Mr. Han is, he will try his best to take time to go back to accompany his wife every day. This shows how much he values his wife. Mrs. Han said this. It's not because I don't want to arrange someone to serve Mr. Han, so I have to shirk it. This is absolutely unacceptable. The worst thing we women can do is to be jealous. Mrs. Han, don't let it go wrong. This preaching and teaching tone clearly had bad intentions. This person came here deliberately for Su Wenyu, otherwise who would interfere in other people's business for no reason? Even if he said a few words with good intentions, he would stop there. This was clearly meant to give Su Wenyu embarrassing and trying to ruin her reputation. The people present also heard it, and most of them were gloating over Han Yu's rise. Most of them were jealous of Han Yu's rise. Han Yu didn't show any extraordinary skills, but he was just good at flattering, and he surpassed their men and got promoted. No one is convinced, but they still have to celebrate happily. Now when they see someone embarrassing Su Wenyu, they all laugh. Su Wenyu's face also darkened. She was not the type to seek compromise. If this woman were the wife of Han Yu's boss, she might have taken care of the overall situation for Han Yu if there were no issues of principle. Unfortunately, not so. She still had some impression of this woman's information. A sneer appeared at the corner of Su Wenayu's mouth. I thought something was wrong. It was not the turn of a low-ranking wife to teach me a lesson. I had already figured out my own family affairs, so I reached out to someone else's house. Accused me of being jealous, but I didn't beat or scold the concubine. The concubine was taken away. That's because Mr. Han has no concubines to live with, so of course you are making such cheap remarks, the lady retorted. It was clear that her husband only held the 8th rank position, but she was very rude to Su Wenayu. Su Wenayu vaguely guessed some reasons, but no matter what, she would never let a subordinate's wife step on her head, otherwise anyone would dare to step on her in the future. Not only would it be embarrassing for herself, but also for Han Yu. If others wanted to slap her in the face, she would slap them back fiercely. A warning to those who laughed at her, she, Su Wenayu, was not easy to bully. Yes, my husband is chaste and does not want a concubine. As a wife, I can naturally say this cheap thing. As for you, Madame Wang, a ruthless woman who tortured Lord Wang's concubine and killed the illegitimate son, what face do you have to stand here and accuse me? Don't you feel ashamed in public? I don't know if the illegitimate son you killed will come to you at night to claim his life. Madame Wang herself was not a good person. The reason why Su Wenayu had a deep impression of her was that the information on Madame Wang's numerous crimes was written. There were as many as 2 pages on how to torture the concubine. At that time, Su Wenayu felt that she was really a ruthless person. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, TNNI. Chapter 179. If Su Wenayu still needs to use her brain to think of a way to deal with others, Ms. Wang's leverage is right there. If she can't be trampled under her feet, Su Wenayu will despise her own IQ. What's more, Ms. Wang really doesn't look like a person with brains. Otherwise, there is someone above her. She should be polite to her, the wife of her quasi-boss, if she doesn't fawn over her. The county magistrate is not as good as the county magistrate. Everyone knows this truth, but Wang the madam obviously doesn't understand. Maybe she has a grievance. The way she deals with her is as rough as dealing with the concubines in her family. It should not be the instruction of Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang is not a fool in this regard. After Su Wenayu said this, Ms. Wang's expression changed. She didn't understand how Su Wenayu knew about her family's affairs, and brought these matters to so many people. It was a slap in the face to her, and she was even more afraid of letting Master Wang know about it. Little did she know that what she thought was a secret method was just like a child's trick in those big houses. It was not on the table at all, and she thought she was keeping it secret. In fact, except Mr. Wang himself, everyone else who should know knew it. What nonsense are you talking about? Don't think that Mr. Han is a big deal just because he has been promoted. How dare you slander me and frame these unfounded things on me? Even if you are Mr. Han's wife, if you don't give me an explanation today, this matter is not over yet, Wang Sun said with an unkind expression. She was already an unreasonable person, so she expected that Su Wenayu was just hearsay and had no concrete evidence. Explain it? It would be easy for Ms. Wang to explain it. The things you did are not secret. In fact, it is not only me, but most of the people present know it. That is to say, Mr. Wang himself does not know. It is like child's play, it's just a piece of cake to get the evidence with this method. If you want to turn around, I'll send it to Mr. Wang. What do you think, Ms. Wang? Su Wenayu said with a chuckle. Compared with Wang Sun's anger, it was really too calm. The means are high and low. The people present looked at each other in confusion as they watched this scene. Ms. Han looked young and soft-tempered, but she was actually a soft-spoken person. Normally she was smiling and amiable, but she didn't expect to be very capable at the critical moment. A few words made Mrs. Wang's face look angry. Everything has changed, but he dares to be angry but dare not speak out. They all knew about the things in Mrs. Wang's family, but they just knew it. If they gossiped in private, there must be no evidence. But Mrs. Han said it so easily. Maybe she already had the evidence in her hands. Otherwise, what else? Dare to use it like this to threaten Mrs. Wang. In fact, they are usually very tolerant towards Mrs. Wang. First of all, Mrs. Wang is a ruthless but reckless person. There is no need not to want to confront her. The most important thing is of course the relationship with her natal family. No one wants to offend such a person. People bring trouble to themselves. Today Mrs. Wang kicked the iron plate. But not only Mrs. Wang, they also need to be careful. Who knows if Mrs. Han has something to hold on to them. Su Wenyu suppressed Mrs. Wang, and glanced at the people present. Looking at everyone's expressions, a faint smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. It seemed that they were all shocked. There will be no one who doesn't have eyesight in a short time. Here comes the provocation. Today is a happy day. In order to celebrate her husband's promotion, Su Wenyu also planned to have a good time. It was Wang's son who bumped into her and taught her a lesson. Lu Zhao saw that the atmosphere was a little tense, so she and Yao Qin's Wei Li made with a wink. A few people made jokes, talked and laughed, and the atmosphere quickly recovered. Mrs. Wang's son did not dare to provoke Su Wenyu at will. She sat there depressed, thinking more about what Su Wenyu had just said, saying that she was using childish methods. In fact, her mother had also disapproved of her previous actions. Are his methods really that crude? Everyone was talking and laughing. Xiao 11 brought a grandma and two maids over from outside. Su Wenyu looked over and saw that the faces of the grandma and the maids were very familiar, so she naturally recognized them. No wonder Xiao 11 took them without telling them. Brought in. My slaves have met Mrs. Han. The three of them gave Su Wenyu a gift together. Su Wenyu quickly gave up her seat, but the three of them insisted that they did not dare to accept it. Not to mention that Mrs. Han was favored by the county magistrate's wife and was now the deputy lieutenant's wife from the 7th rank. Compared to the county magistrate, they are only half a rank lower. As slaves, how can they dare to support him? Knowing that today is a good day for Mr. Han to be promoted, our wife specially sent an old slave to congratulate Mr. Han, Mrs. Han. Madam originally planned to come in person today, but the government was busy with things and couldn't spare the time, so she specially sent I'm here to congratulate you. I hope Mrs. Han won't be offended. What are you talking about? I am already flattered that my aunt can send you to congratulate me. How can I bother my aunt to come here? This is not embarrassing us juniors. This nanny is the last person in front of the county magistrate's wife. She had a trusting face, and patting her was enough to show that she valued her, so Su Wenyu naturally didn't dare to take it too seriously. The two maids also handed the congratulatory gifts to the maids next to Su Wenyu. They were the most trusted maids around the young lady, and the intention of sending them here was obvious. Our young lady was originally going to come, but it was because of Mrs. Han's delay. Now she has been pregnant for more than a month. It was not easy to conceive in the first 3 months. I was afraid of being crowded with people, so I didn't come in person. Young madam, let me tell you, madam, and I hope madam won't mind. Yes, our second young lady meant the same thing. She was very happy when she heard that Mr. Han had been promoted. However, the child in her belly was not easy to come by, so she had to be more cautious, so she sent her slave. Ah, are both young ladies pregnant? Su Wenyu was also surprised. What a coincidence. Yes, that's why I said that it was thanks to Madam Han that our young lady got your good fortune. We went back and did what you taught us. Sure enough, we got good news soon. The county magistrate's wife was so happy that she said it was all Madame Han's credit. When the two young ladies are pregnant, they will definitely come to thank you in person. The master was pregnant and her status was stable, so the maids were also happy. Su Wenyu had a good impression of the two young ladies and was happy for them. She knew that maybe the method she taught worked, otherwise it wouldn't be so effective. Getting good fortune was just a way of saying it. The people present were already very wary of Su Wenyu, and seeing that Su Wenyu had such a good relationship with the county magistrate's wife, they felt even more weight in their hearts. The following banquet went quite smoothly, and no one jumped out to make trouble. It was just that Zhou Wang said a few ambiguous words before leaving. I don't know if she was deliberately trying to make Su Wenyu feel uneasy or really wanted to remind her. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, TNNI. Chapter 180. Madam, this Madame Zhou obviously has bad intentions. Don't listen to her. Otherwise, the baby in your belly will worry, and you will worry too. Nanny Chen saw that Su Wenyu had a worried look on her face, and she quickly advised. She also heard what Zhou Wang said just now. Although it was somewhat credible, there was also a suspicion that she deliberately wanted to make Madame worry. Otherwise, if she knew that Madame was pregnant and couldn't worry, she could just let Master Zhou tell their masters. Why bother to be mysterious in front of Madame? Even though Zhou Wang was deep-minded, she couldn't hide her thoughts in front of Nanny Zhou and Nanny Chen, who were used to seeing the inner house fighting. So Zhou Wang hurried away under Nanny Chen's gaze, otherwise she would have planned to say something. Don't worry, Madam. I know what Zhou Wangxi is up to. I didn't take her words to heart, but her news may not be false. Lord Wang has been in the position of the 8th rank for so long. It's time to move. It's normal for him to feel uncomfortable when his husband takes that position. It's human nature. Su Wenyu is not stupid enough to be disturbed by Zhou Wangxi's words, but Lord Wang is indeed a trouble. Madame Wang has been rampant in Xinluo town for so long, not only because of her temper that others don't want to provoke, but also because of Madame Wang's family. Madame Wang's father, Sun Bachan, is the Tongpan of Yiyang Prefecture. The Tongpan position has always been trusted by the emperor. Although the power of the Tongpan has declined due to the civil strife in the court, his status is there. The female guests dispersed, but the front yard was still lively. The men were drinking and chatting, and they were in high spirits. Han Yu couldn't leave, and was worried about Su Wenyu, so he sent his servant to ask about the situation and told Su Wenyu to rest early and not wait for him. Su Wenyu had something to discuss with Han Yu, so she naturally wouldn't rest so early. She dozed off on the couch for a while, and when she woke up, she didn't know how long it had been. The people in the front yard hadn't dispersed yet, so Su Wenyu sent a servant to inquire about the situation. Han Yu and his friends were holding a banquet here, and Sikong Ling had already received the news. Han Yu is good at scheming, but he climbed to the 7th rank in a short time by taking shortcuts, which is quite capable. Sikong Ling took a sip of wine and said with an unclear expression. The man in black stood aside and didn't say anything. He knew that the master was not asking him questions, and he didn't need him to answer. How is she doing? Is she still vomiting? Sikong Ling looked a little worried when he said this. Last time in Lingyan Temple, he saw that Su Wenyu's face was not very good. It was only more than 4 months, but her belly was so big. Later, he asked someone to find out more carefully, and it turned out that she was pregnant with twins. She was originally thin and petite. She was just a young girl. It was hard enough to be pregnant with one baby, and she was pregnant with twins. If the pregnancy was not good, it would be very dangerous. Sikong Ling didn't care about the baby in Su Wenyu's belly, but he didn't want Su Wenyu to get into trouble. Although the Han family is not a big house, the servants are very tight-lipped. I finally got some news. Madam Han should be fine. It is said that her appetite has improved and she can eat a lot a day. Some people saw that Madam Han's complexion and spirit are much better than before. Sikong Yu felt relieved after hearing this. He didn't know why he was so concerned about a woman with whom he had little interaction. Also, Sun Tongpan is very dissatisfied with Han Yu's promotion this time. He thinks Han Yu is blocking his son-in-law's way. I'm afraid he will take some action in the near future. I know. You go down and tell the people below to keep a close eye on it. If there is any news, report it immediately. Before the baby is born, I don't want any big changes to affect her mood. Sikong Yu was not interested in whether Han Yu would be framed. It was just that if Han Yu got into trouble, Su Wenyu would definitely be affected. It was dangerous enough to be pregnant with twins, and no more risks could be taken. Yes, the man in black knew that his master was too concerned about the woman, but this was not their area of responsibility. They only needed to follow orders. Han Yu came back from the front with the smell of alcohol on his body. He washed up before coming in and saw Su Wenyu reading a book. Han Yu frowned and snatched the book from Su Wenyu's hand. Didn't I tell you to rest early? Why are you still reading so late? Your eyes and body are tired. You just recovered a little and you don't take it seriously. What can I say to you? Han Yu's tone was inevitably a little aggressive after drinking. Su Wenyu also knew that she was in the wrong, but it was boring to sit here, so she pulled Han Yu's hand to explain. Don't be angry, I just slept for a while, and I couldn't sleep well now, so I took a book to read for a while. You know I care about the baby in my belly the most, how could I not be careful? But the front was dispersed. Han Yu heard Su Wenyu say this, and then glanced at Li Mama who was serving on the side. After Li Mama's answer, his face relaxed a little, and a little tiredness appeared on his face, and he hugged Su Wenyu. Wife, how do you feel today? Are you tired? Did those women say anything? If they did, don't take it to heart. They are just jealous of your husband's promotion. After all, I have little experience. There are many people who are dissatisfied with my current position. Han Yu said this because he obviously knew what Zhou Wang said to Su Wenyu. That's why I'm a little worried. Those sour words are nothing, but they are forgotten once they enter my ears. What I'm really worried about is those people who are trying to trip you up behind your back. Even if some people don't look bad on the surface, who knows what they are thinking? People's hearts are the most unpredictable. Sometimes climbing too fast is not a good thing. Su Wenyu sighed. Han Yu didn't expect his wife to think so much, and even to other levels. As expected, she is his wife. Unlike other women, she cares about the main things, but Han Yu doesn't want his wife to worry about these things. Daughter-in-law, don't worry. Your husband is a man who can climb to this position. He is naturally capable of holding on to it. Even if they make trouble behind your back, your husband is capable of dealing with it. You just need to take good care of yourself and the children, and don't worry about these things. But, do you know what Madame Zhou said when she left today? Your current position was originally set by Sun Tongpan for his son-in-law, Lord Wang. This time you were promoted. No matter what others say, Sun Tongpan is definitely not satisfied. Even if he doesn't make trouble behind your back, I'm afraid he won't hope for your well-being. Husband, what do you think about this? Otherwise, go find my father and let him think of a solution. Although the Su family has been divided, our branch has not entered the court according to the rules set by our ancestors, but if there is really trouble, my grandfather and uncle will not just watch and do nothing.